Well, good morning. Thank you all for being here today. This is a great moment for Golden Hill, one of the oldest and most beloved neighborhoods in all of San Diego. I'm pleased to be joined today by City Council President Todd Gloria, who represents this area, Public Works Interim Director Assistant Marnell Gibson, and community leaders from throughout Golden Hill. The 25th Street Renaissance Project really is the culmination of a lot of hard work by city officials and neighborhood residents to transform this corridor for the future. This project is paid for with funds from the Transnet and the Water Department and is representative of my administration's focus and the council's focus on neighborhood services. Infrastructure upgrades will be among the top priorities in my annual budget, which will be released this coming Monday. Many of you may recall that I promised to direct 50% of all of the city's major revenue growth towards street and infrastructure repair throughout San Diego's neighborhoods. And I'm pleased to announce today that there will be $35 million in new revenue in next year's budget, and nearly $22 million of that will be going towards the city's infrastructure. In all, we're going to be spending $300 million on capital improvements across the city of San Diego. That includes street and sidewalk repairs, park improvements, street lights, fire stations, and maintenance of our storm drain and other city facilities. It's very simple. The goal of all of these projects is to make San Diego a better place to live and to work. And the 25th Street Renaissance Project fits that bill. Whether you're traveling by foot, bike, or car, the changes that are being made here are going to make it safer and a more accessible route for everyone. We're going to restripe the roadway, widen the sidewalks, install reverse angle parking for vehicles, and put in Class 2 bike lanes. And I know the residents and businesses of Golden Hill are going to love the wonderful project because the community played such a huge role in developing the scope of these improvements that we're talking about here today. 3 public workshops were held, and the greater Golden Hill planning community voted 4 times to approve the concept of this plan. And another reason why this project is significant is because of how we're doing it. The city has been rightfully criticized in the past for not being able to coordinate infrastructure projects very well. There were times, as you probably very well know, as do I, that would frustrate me, that the city would put down new pavement on a street and then come back a couple of months later to tear it up for a sewer or water project. We're doing things differently now. 25th Street is soon due for a new water main replacement, so we're including that project in this to consolidate the efforts to minimize impacts to the neighborhood and to do all the work at once. These projects don't happen overnight, but with proper planning and a renewed focus, we can ensure that the renaissance that is getting started here today in Golden Hill happens in every neighborhood across this great city. And now I'd like to introduce and welcome our City Council President Todd Gloria, who's been a champion for this project and has been a champion for the changes that we're making in infrastructure of the city of San Diego. Todd?
Thank you, Mayor. Good morning, Golden Hill. It is a great day. It's always a great day to be in Golden Hill, just generally. But today is a really particularly good day because we're breaking ground on this project that we've long hoped for this community. And the mayor makes an important point. You know, I think what I've heard over the time that I've served on the city council is that San Diegans want us to rebuild this city. And as you stand on this corner of 25th and B, when you look at the improvements that we're making to 25th Street, the sewer project and water project that's going on, that is underway, you see that we are in fact rebuilding our city slowly but surely. We did not get into the problem that we're in overnight. We won't get out of it overnight, but with additional investments and a lot of the progress that we've made as a city council, we're well underway. And what's some of that progress? Well, I think some of you remember when I became council president, we established the city's first ever infrastructure committee to have council members who are going to be held accountable on a daily basis for making sure that we start rebuilding our neighborhoods. That has led to the first series of comprehensive assessments of our assets, of our roads, of our sidewalks, of our water and sewer pipes, our public facilities. You can't solve a problem if you don't know how big it is. We now are slowly starting to understand the full size of our problem. And working forward, in March 2012, the Council approved the city's first 5-year deferred capital funding plan, known as Enhanced Option B. It sounds bureaucratic, but it's a massive investment in making sure that we start rebuilding these neighborhoods. And we've begun issuing bonds to address deferred capital and other infrastructure projects that are being used now to solve problems in certain communities, and will continue to do so in the future. Additionally, we've passed transparency measures and streamlining efforts to make sure that the limited dollars that we have, that we spend as much of it as possible on projects and not on bureaucracy or red tape. And of course, we formalized the public's input into capital improvement projects. Too often before, I think we were doing projects that the community wasn't necessarily prioritizing. That ended about a year ago, and I know going forward is a part of our culture of making sure that the neighborhoods in the city are working hand in hand. Now, I'm of the opinion that we have to continue to do more of this, and I'm appreciative of the mayor's efforts to make sure that we are putting more money toward this problem. I think it's exactly what San Diegans want. Now, back here to Golden Hill, I see a lot of familiar faces, people who've been fighting for this project for a long time. And I want to thank my colleagues on the Sandag Board of Directors, particularly the Transportation Committee that I chair, because these folks believed in the vision that we have here for Golden Hill. How many of you all love 25th Street? I mean, yes, exactly. I mean, this street is an important part of our community. It is the main street, the main thoroughfare for Golden Hill. It's a gateway to our city's crown jewel of Balboa Park for folks traveling off the 94, and of course is a way that many of our folks who are in Logan Heights and Sherman Heights get to the park. And so that's why this street has to be a promenade. It has to be a landmark, and with this project, we will do that. It is also home to some of our magnificent small and local businesses, places that you all love and shop at: the Turf Club, Golden Hill Cafe, Luigi's Pizza, Counterpoint, Mosaic, so many of these wonderful businesses, and I know some of you are here today. Thank you for your patience during this process, because I think you know that good infrastructure brings good business to this neighborhood, and that's why we're making this investment. As the mayor mentioned, this project enjoys the support of this community. In particular, I want to thank the Greater Golden Hill Community Planning Committee. Because there were so many votes, as the mayor mentioned, Rochelle Alvarez and Pat Shields were the chair of that committee during throughout all these votes, and both those women, along with the entire committee, have been wonderful to work with. And of course, our Greater Golden Hill Community Development Corporation, who has lent tireless support for this project. You heard it mentioned, reverse angle parking. Now, that's what we do in District 3. We test out new concepts. We're not afraid of doing things a little bit different and seeing whether or not they work. And I definitely want to thank Craig and Mike and some of the other folks who helped push for that, because I think ultimately, as the mayor mentioned, this is going to make this more bike-friendly, more pedestrian-friendly, and again, invite more investment to the small and local businesses on the street. So, what we have here today is an important project. It's a part of a larger effort to rebuild our city, and I'm happy to be a small part of it. And again, I want to thank the great people of Golden Hill for supporting this project and making sure that we got to the point where we are today. With all of that said, it is my pleasure to introduce, it says interim, but you know I don't do interim, Marnell. You know I don't do that. So I'm pleased to turn the podium over to our Public Works Department Assistant Director, Marnell Gibson. Marnell?
Thank you.
All right, Marnell. Good job.
Thank you and good morning. I appreciate your comments, Mayor Faulconer and Council President Gloria. We are so pleased to be here. I'm just kind of the one at the podium speaking, but I do want to acknowledge our key staff who made this project come to fruition, along with the help of the community. We have Brad Johnson, the senior civil engineer, Mark Pierzini, he is the assistant engineer, and David Lee's hiding over there. David actually took this project over and helped work it through the workshops and have it come to fruition. These are all really exciting times for us. They did all the heavy lifting, but I really want to acknowledge them. We as engineers have a tendency to get into our cubicles, put our heads down, and do the calculations. And we have seen a transformational change under this great leadership that we are so much enjoying right now in having capital improvements be out there on the forefront. We can use as much leverage as possible to make these projects come to fruition and also to meet the community's needs. So we are looking forward to having Tri-Group move through the construction aspect of it. It will be dusty, dirty, a little bit inconvenient, but that will be temporary, because eventually you will all be able to enjoy a more walkable and business-oriented community so that we can enjoy the areas where we live, work, and play. So with that, I would like to turn it back over to Mayor Faulconer. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Thank you. I think we're going to turn a little shovel with dirt here in a second, but before we do, I'd be happy to, if there's any specific questions, happy to do that. If not, we can do one-on-ones.
Mr. Mayor,
Okay.
they get a twofer because once the area is improved, now we get some investment. It looks a whole lot better now.
It is, Ed, and I think that's the whole point, which is making sure that the dollars that, all of the work that we've done as a council and as a community to making sure that we're reinvesting those dollars. Absolutely. It's about community involvement in the project to begin with. It's about making a huge difference. The neighbors are going to love it. The businesses are going to love it. It's what the city's in business for, to making sure that we're revitalizing every neighborhood.
And the consolidation of these projects, I mean, you hit it, you rip up the street, and 3 months later, you're ripping it up again.
It is, and it's a mindset that's changing, which says do it all at once. You have to think ahead a little bit, but there's no reason as before, and that was one of the biggest frustrations for many of us. And so now, as we're making a lot of these changes, we do all of the projects at once. Get the pipes in the ground, then pave the street, put in the improvement, so you don't have to come back, 6 months, a year, or 2 years later. That's going to be a thing of the past as all of us come together. And I think that's great work. It really, the work that we've done on the council to making sure that we're thinking ahead and streamlining this, empowering the great city staff that we have. You're going to see a lot of great changes. And this project, I think, is very indicative of that.
Can I make a comment?
Yeah, talk. Come on up. Yeah.
And if I can just add on to that, I want you, before you leave, just go down the street a little bit. You'll see there's 2 great infill projects that have recently come into the community. You Are Here and MXD 830, both of which are smart growth projects, wonderful high design, and it's an example of where we're inviting new investment in the community, to your point, but we're augmenting it with additional infrastructure. And so as you bring in more density, that you have the amenities that are necessary. This is a promise we make to the community, and in this particular case, we're delivering on the infrastructure promise along with these great new projects. So I think that the pioneering work that's been done by Foundation Before Form, is doing here will invite more investment.
And then the neighborhood here?
Golden Hill.
I will answer the question from a general standpoint, not just a Golden Hill specific standpoint. But next week, what we're going to be talking about is exactly what we're here today is infrastructure and putting dollars back into streets, back into sidewalks, libraries, rec centers. I think that's the good news that is strongly supported by the council. Saw the council's vote yesterday on the infrastructure bonds. This city is committed to getting back on track on public infrastructure, and we're united in that 100%. You're going to see more projects like this, and that's good news for every single neighborhood of San Diego.
Just specifically in this particular community, we have utility undergrounding projects underway right now as well. Shortly, you're going to see the construction of new bus stations down Broadway in downtown. We have some other bus rapid transit amenities, again, for these denser, older urban neighborhoods. And as the mayor mentioned, we are working aggressively forward with more bonding authority. We obviously have some litigation challenges around that, and I hope that will not prove to, I know it won't be successful, I know that, but what opportunity cost will happen with regard to the Skyline Hills Library and Fire Station, the City Heights Fire Station, the Mission Hills Library. These are projects that we are bringing to the community now, assuming that we can get through this litigation, which I'm confident that we can do. Again, this is the question about additional interest that we have to pay the bank, lost opportunity, increasing construction costs, and that will take away from our ability to do more projects.
The cameras. 1, 2, 3.
All right. Well done. Thank you, guys.
The ground has been broken, ladies and gentlemen.